Hi friends, welcome to CAIIB session today. Today we'll be studying various types of LCs and various clauses related to those LCs. Means what are the precautions to be taken. Mainly we'll be studying various types of LCs because that is important for you from CAIIB point of view. So let's start. Before starting, what I would suggest is we'll start with the motivational quote as always. I always run this same motivation because that's important. When obstacles arise, you change your direction to reach your goal. You do not change your decision to get there. So always and always, if there's some problem arises, don't change your final destination. Change the ways of doing the things. Okay. Then download this Adda 24/7 app on your mobile and to get the various updates on all the banking exams as well as other government exams. We also give the study material, also give the live video lectures, so you can avail everything at almost lowest cost. You can use this code Y432 to avail flat 77% discount on the app. So you use it for your benefit as fast as possible. Share it with your friends. Okay. So let's start with today's session. Now, firstly, it's regarding confirming bank. See here, I've covered few topics regarding confirming bank in my earlier lectures also. So here I'll be directly touching the important point which comes in your CAIIB exam. See here, what is confirming bank? Firstly, confirming bank means that additional bank who is given a guarantee of payment other than the issuing bank. Okay. Every LC has the guarantee of payment from issuing bank subject to presentation of complying documents, right? And if there is no force majeure, either of these two things. What is force majeure? That also we have seen earlier. But if possible, we'll study it in the last slide over here. So confirming bank is an additional guarantee. Generally, this confirming bank, generally, I'm not saying always, it's generally in the same country in which the beneficiary or the seller resides. Okay. Always remember, confirming bank, advising bank, and this negotiating bank are generally in the country of the beneficiary. Okay. They are known to the beneficiary. So let's touch the important point over here. Confirming bank, if a confirming bank confirms one LC and one amendment. Okay. What do you mean by this? Confirms one LC and one amendment. Here, when the LC is issued by the issuing bank, it gives the guarantee of payment. But if the beneficiary wants, beneficiary means the seller. If the beneficiary wants a confirmation, means guarantee of payment from some local bank of his or known bank of his. Okay. So then what happens? Then the beneficiary asks for confirmation from some Indian bank, okay, which is known to him. So if that bank adds that guarantee of payment, what does it mean? It means that if you present the complying documents to us, then we will pay you. Whether that issuing bank pays you or not, but we will pay you. Now, it doesn't mean that if both of them guarantee, that confirming bank is also guaranteeing and issuing bank is also guaranteeing, that beneficiary will get two payments. It doesn't mean that. Okay. Beneficiary will get only one payment. He'll present it to the confirming bank. He'll get the payment from the confirming bank, and then confirming bank will get the payment from the LC issuing bank. Okay. That way it moves. So if this confirming bank confirms one LC and one amendment. Now, what is an amendment? Whenever an LC is issued, if there are certain changes to be done in that LC, so then the issuing bank issues one amendment. Now, how many amendments can be issued? I say 1,000 amendments can be issued. Nobody cares. Okay. As far as they are acceptable to all the parties in between, means which parties? Advising bank, then the confirming bank, then the beneficiary. If all of them, three of these agree, then as many amendments can be issued, right? So what happens? One LC is issued, it is confirmed by the confirming bank, and one amendment is issued, it is confirmed by the confirming bank. Okay, amendment is also confirmed. Remember, if a confirming bank confirms one LC, it doesn't mean all the amendments are confirmed. Confirming bank has a right not to confirm any amendment in between. Okay. So this question is regarding the same. Confirms one LC and one amendment. Now what happens? There is another amendment. It is not ready to confirm the amendment number 2. Means one more amendment is received. and confirming bank is not ready to confirm that. Okay. So now the question doesn't end over here. It can happen. Means confirming bank can confirm one amendment, second amendment, it doesn't confirm. Now the real question lies ahead. Issuing bank sends a next amendment, means amendment number 3. Now the question is, if confirming bank doesn't confirm amendment number 2, does it have a right to confirm the amendment number 3? That is a real question. So the answer is yes. Okay. Always remember, confirming bank has a right to confirm any amendment which it wants and not to confirm any amendment which it wants, even in between. That is important. Even in between. So amendment number 2 is not confirmed, but amendment number 3 can be confirmed. Okay. So the bank can add confirmation to the other amendments, even though it has not added confirmation to one of the amendments. Correct? Keep it very clear. Okay. Next, transferable LC. What is transferable LC basically? What do you mean by transferable LC? See here, in that transferable LC, it's always written in that LC that irrevocable, transferable. Okay, transferable word is written over there in that LC. On the face of that document, either in the first line or some banks means actually it should be written in the first line only, irrevocable, transferable. Means that is a general SWIFT rule. But what happens? Some banks don't follow that rule. And what do? They give this condition of transferable in additional conditions. Okay, so that is also acceptable. See here, anywhere on the face of that LC before the end of the message, if anywhere it's written that the LC is transferable, then it is transferable. Okay, so our duty as a banker is to read the LC up to the end of the message, up to the last line. Okay, so a transferable LC is available for transfer in full or part in favor of any party other than the beneficiary. Now, what do I mean by any party other than the beneficiary? It means that, firstly, tell me what is an LC. An LC is issued by the issuing bank on behalf of the applicant in favor of whom? In favor of the beneficiary. Who is the beneficiary? The beneficiary is a seller. Generally, what happens? The seller produces the goods, okay, and he sells it to the buyer. And the payment is received from the issuing bank of that LC. That is the general formula used throughout the world. But there is a sub condition to this. If the seller is not the actual manufacturer, this seller is an agent, then what? If the seller is an agent, then will he prepare the goods? No. What will he do? He'll get it prepared by through someone else. Okay. So that person, it means that he is a second beneficiary to this. Okay. So then if the seller is an agent, then the LC is required to be transferable. That's why he can't produce the goods. So what will he do? He'll give the order to someone else. Okay. So that means that if a seller is an agent, then the LC needs to be transferable. Okay. Point number 1. Now what happens? How does it work? See here, the LC is issued by the issuing bank with the name irrevocable, transferable. It is received by the beneficiary. Then the beneficiary goes to his bank. Beneficiary means seller, and tells the bank that, okay, kindly transfer this LC in favor of 1 or 2 more guys, or 2, 3, 10 more guys, whichever he wants. Okay. Remember, an LC can be transferred from first beneficiary to, remember this, look at this sentence very clearly and keep it in your mind. An LC can be transferred from first beneficiary to many second beneficiaries. Many. It means one LC can be split and transferred to, let's say, even 100 second beneficiaries. Okay. It's not done in 100. Generally, it's 2 or 3. Even 100 second beneficiaries, it can be transferred. But now look at this second part also. This is also very important. All these 100 second beneficiaries, whichever to whom the LC has been transferred, they can't transfer that LC to someone else. Okay. So what does it mean? A transferable LC can be transferred only once. From first level, means first Benny to second Benny. Then this second Benny can be many, thousands. Okay. But this none of this second Benny can transfer it to the third Benny. Earlier in UCP 500, it was allowed. Now in UCP 600, it's gone. Okay. So what does it mean? Is available for transfer in full or in part in favor of any party other than the Benny by the advising bank at the request of the issuing bank. Okay. Now remember this. What does it mean? At the request of the issuing bank, it's not at the request of the actual issuing bank. Issuing bank just tells that this document is transferable. But who the request is to be made? Who has to make the request? This request is to be made by the beneficiary. It is not made by the issuing bank. Okay. In the document, it's written that it is transferable, and that is written by the issuing bank. But the transferring part is done by the beneficiary. Okay. And who will bear the charges for transferring? Definitely this beneficiary. Means the first beneficiary or the seller. Okay. So definitely this first beneficiary will bear the charges of the transferring. Now, always remember this. Even though it is written as transferable, but if the beneficiary, means the seller, is not ready to pay the charges for transferring, if such thing happens, then the bank, means beneficiary's bank, will say we won't transfer unless we get a charges. Okay. So coming back, by advising at the request of, let's say, beneficiary over here, there can be more than one second beneficiary. The LC can be split and transferred in favor of more than one second beneficiary. Okay. Such second beneficiary cannot further transfer the LC in favor of another third party. Okay. Got that point? To be transferable, the credit must be specifically made transferable. Means it should be written on that LC that it is transferable LC. Next is, what is red clause LC? Okay. This question you generally get it in CAIIB also. Generally CAIIB only. JAIIB you get it sometimes. What is the red clause LC? Red clause LC means it is that LC which enables the beneficiary. Beneficiary means seller. Enables the seller to get the pre-shipment credit. Now who can give the pre-shipment credit? Here, there are 2-3 parties who can give the pre-shipment credit. First, the beneficiary's bank. Means the seller's bank can give the pre-shipment credit. Point number 1. Point number 2, who next can give the pre-shipment credit? It can happen that the buyer or the applicant has paid some amount to the beneficiary for making those goods or preparing those goods. Okay. Means what? Here, if the LC is, let's say, for example, $100. Okay. Out of that, the buyer can tell that, okay, I'll provide you $30 now. You prepare the goods and remaining 70 I'll pay afterwards. Okay. Means it depends on the buyer and the seller mutual understanding. Now, if this $30 is paid in earlier and then the LC is prepared, then for what amount the LC will be prepared? Will it be prepared for $100? No. Because the guarantee for payment required is what now? Only $70. So such LC is called as red clause LC. Remember one important point. Red clause LC, many of us mistake it, saying that it is only pre-shipment credit from the nominated bank. It's not that point. This is one part. It is also the finance from the seller, from the buyer himself to the seller. Such thing can also be done. And for the remaining part, then the LC is given. Okay. Then green clause LC. It enables, this is simple one. It enables the beneficiary to avail the finance for the goods kept in warehouse. And what is this warehouse concept? Where is this warehouse given? Means where does this warehouse come in picture? Means, do you mean that I keep the goods in my warehouse and then I get the finance? See here, I'll explain the concept. This is very important and for you to understand. See this. Suppose if I am the seller, let's say I am the seller in some way in, for example, Maharashtra. Okay. From Maharashtra, the goods are to be sent to USA. How will they be sent? Generally I'm talking. From Maharashtra, they are generally sent from Mumbai, Nhava Sheva. Okay. They are sent from Mumbai, Nhava Sheva to USA. Okay. Now what happens? I prepare the goods and from Nhava Sheva to Mumbai, to USA. Does it happen like it's a regular ship business that today today morning one ship has gone, one afternoon again ship has gone to USA? Does it happen like that? No. There are specific tours or routes for those ships. Okay, only them through them the goods are shipped. Okay, now what happens? I prepare the goods. Okay, and bring it via truck from, let's say, my place somewhere. Let's say, for example, Nagpur to Nhava Sheva. Means it's a long distance. I prepare the goods, bring it via train or truck to Nhava Sheva. And what happens? We keep the, I bring the goods over there. Will they be immediately loaded in the ship? Firstly, is the ship available at that time? Let's say the route of that ship or this voyage of that ship is after, let's say, 5 days. Okay, means after 5 days that there will be one ship which is going to whichever port which I want. So where will I keep those goods for 5 days? What will I do? I'll keep those goods in the warehouse near Nhava Sheva, near that port. Okay. Now, once I keep it near the port for 5 days, what happens? There are 2 points. There are charges for that port, for that warehouse. So who will bear those charges? So that part is covered over here. Also, second part, for 5 days, bank won't give me pre-shipment or post-shipment credit because bank will say, where is the shipment? Shipment means what? When I receive the BL, when the ship goods have been loaded on board in the ship. They have been loaded on board in the ship. But where is the ship? Ship is after 5 days. So those 5 days, even the bank won't finance me for this post-shipment finance. Okay. So what will I do? So in that case, I ask the beneficiary, I ask the applicant to give me a green clause LC. Now in that green clause, it will be mentioned that even if the goods are kept in warehouse near the port or at the port, for the ship to be loaded, for those period also, I must get the pre-shipment finance. Now from who will give me that? Banks won't allow, means bank do allow, means nowadays it's allowed, but earlier banks didn't allow. So who all can finance? So I can definitely, what I can do is I'll charge it to the applicant himself. I'll tell him that, see this, last 5 days that the goods have been over here, these are the charges of this, and this is the amount which is a loss to me. Okay. So all these things need to be managed by you. So that is called as green clause LC. That will be managed either by my bank or that applicant. Okay. So anybody pays me, for me it's okay because I am the seller basically. Next, what is the deferred payment LC? Okay, what is deferred payment basically? What types of LC are there generally, or what type of transactions are there in anywhere in this world basically? There are generally three types of transactions. Which 3 types? Here, one is sight, second is usance, and third is deferred. Now, what is sight? Sight means what? Immediately I see the goods, I pay you. That is sight. Means like you go in the malls, you buy the goods, you pay them. Okay. Does that mall guy tell you that, okay, take the goods today, pay us tomorrow, or pay us after 5 days? No, it's a cash payment, right? So that's basically sight. What is usance? Usance means like this, and means udari, we call it in India. Udari means what? I take the goods now and I'll pay you later. Okay. So that is usance. But what is the difference now? Okay. Before coming to the difference, what is this deferred now? Deferred means here, same as usance. In usance, what do? I take the goods now and I pay you later after, let's say, 45 days. But in deferred also same thing happens. I take the goods and I pay you later. Later means when? On occurrence of certain events. Here, the actual definition of deferred is on occurrence of certain event. Okay, means I'll tell you that I'll pay you after Diwali. Now, when is Diwali? I don't know. Means when the date of Diwali comes, now I don't know. But I'll say I'll pay you after Diwali. So that's it. That's deferred. Okay. So that's why bill of exchange at second important point here. Usance means there is a specific date. Usance means I'll tell you, I'll pay you in November on November 5th. That is my due date. So if I tell you that I'll pay you on November 5th, it means what? The date is fixed. So that is usance. But if I pay you on Diwali, it means the date is not fixed. Neither you know when the date of Diwali is, neither I know. So that's the happening of that event. So that's why what happens, whenever you make any deferred payment, there can't be a bill of exchange because you don't know the date. What is the basic premise of bill of exchange? There should be an exact date for payment, right? So that's why what happens, there can't be any bill of exchange in deferred payment. These are the two important points about deferred payment. One is event, and second is what? No bill of exchange. So, why is deferred payment LC used? The absence of bill of exchange saves the beneficiary from cost of stamp duty and other levies as applicable in certain countries. So, remember this part, cost of stamp duty. So, many countries have a huge stamp duty on various negotiable documents. Some countries do have it. Not many now. Some countries do have it. Even in India, after let's say 120 days of LC and some specific amount, we have a separate stamp duty to be paid. Up to 120 days, it's normal. I mean, just on that revenue stamp, it's done. 1 rupee revenue stamp. Okay. So in deferred payment LCs, the absence of this bill of exchange will save it the cost of stamping, because if the bill of exchange comes, now India has it for 120 days. Some other country might be having for even day one. So if that beneficiary is in that country, he'll have a huge cost of stamp duty. So that's why this deferred payment is used, so that the stamp duty is not there. Okay, so that's the basic meaning of that. What is back to back? See here, back to back LC means it is similar to transferable. This transferable. But what is the difference then? See here, the difference is like this. In transferable LC, what do we do? The same LC which is received from the issuing bank to the first beneficiary, the same LC is transferred with certain changes. Now, what are those certain changes? That is not the purview of our topic today. But it's specifically these 2 dates and 3 amounts. Right? Means these 3 dates basically. 3 dates are to be changed. Which date? In fact, we won't consider it that I have covered it separately in this transferable credit in my topic. Okay. So 3 dates and 2 amounts are to be changed. 2 amounts means this per unit cost. That is the total amount of that LC. These are the 2 amounts. Okay, I'll give you that dates also. The dates are this latest date of shipment first, then expiry of that LC, second the expiry date, and third is that date of presentation. These 3 dates are changed. Okay, so these 5 items can be changed in transferable. But what does it mean? The same LC is transferred along with these five changes plus 1 or 2 changes with the name of the applicant and everything. Okay, so these 5-6 changes are done and the same LC is transferred. Okay, what is back to back? Back to back means it's not the same LC. Means I get one LC from the issuing bank. I am the agent over here. Means first beneficiary. I won't transfer this LC to my second beneficiary. What will I do? I'll tell my bank, let's see this. Based on this LC, you prepare another LC. And understand this concept, the difference. You prepare another LC and then give it to my second beneficiary. Okay. So what has happened? If I prepare another LC, there is no connection between my original LC and the second LC in back-to-back. Whereas in transferable, there is a connection between my first LC and the second LC, transferred LC. Okay, so understand this difference. When exporter arranges to issue an LC in favor of local supplier to procure goods on the strength of export LC received in his favor, it is known as back-to-back. Generally, back-to-back LC is for procurement of goods locally or for import of goods for meeting the export LC commitments. Okay. So that was it which I wanted to cover, the important parts over here. Means what have we covered now, up till now in today's session? One is types of important types of LC. It's not all types of LC. There are various types of LCs. Means I can go up to standby LCs. There also somebody can go and direct payment LCs. There are various types. Okay, but these are the important ones used in the business, and these are the important ones we face in the banks, and for that CAIIB exam also. Okay, so which are the types we have studied? First is back to back. Second is deferred. Third is green clause. Then it is red clause. Then transferable. Then confirmed credit. Okay. So these are the five, 6 things. Now, in confirmed credit, there is also one question which you receive in CAIIB exam that's called as silent confirmation. Now, what is that silent confirmation? See here, silent confirmation means it's like this. See here, if the LC is to be confirmed by some bank, that bank's name is generally given in that LC itself. Means that issuing bank, while issuing the LC, gives the name of that bank, that this bank is nominated to confirm and negotiate the LC. Now, once it is nominated, then it's a normal confirmation. But if no name is given of some bank, and then also that bank is confirming that LC, remember this part. Name is not given of that bank in the LC, but then also that bank is confirming that LC, then that is called a silent confirmation. That is outside the purview of UCPDC. Okay. So go through this presentation, go through this video again so that you understand the important parts. Also, look at what have I said, because what's written is written in every book. But the important points lie in what is said beyond this, what is written. Okay. So again, I will say, download this Adda 24/7 app on your mobile, share it with your friends so that you get all the updates regarding various banking exams and other exams as well. Not only banking, related to many government agencies, government exams are there. So we give the study material plus the video lectures on that. Use this code Y432 on your app to avail 77% discount. Okay. Only on this Adda 24/7 app. Use this for your CAIIB 22 exam. Okay.